Alright, Assalamualaikum guys. Glad to see you guys back here again. Today I will be doing schools that I was accepted and schools that rejected me. So normally you're supposed to apply to at least 10 to 15 schools. That's the norm. I went ahead and, better to be safe than sorry, applied above a total of 24 schools. My advice is apply to 20 or above 20 schools, so this way you have more of a chance to apply. And I'll also give you I'll tell you some advice, some places where you should apply. Like generally, the schools you should apply for based on your stats. If you have high stats, then apply everywhere. If you have low stats, then apply to low stat schools. But you never know. You should apply to some. The norm is if your score, DAT score or your GPA, if you have like average or if you have low, you still have a chance of getting in. You should just apply. This is how you should do it. Apply to schools that are your area, low stats. Apply to schools that are average, that is, averagely accepted, or like 20s or something like that, and then apply schools that are above your reach. So that's what I recommend. I apply schools your area, lower your area, and then above your reach, because you never know whichever one gives you an interview. So what I did is I applied to a lot of schools, and I'll go through in a list and tell you which schools accepted me and which not. Okay, so number 1, AT Still University. AT Still University offered me an interview, and they were among the first ones to offer me an interview. And I went through and interviewed, and it was an in-person interview, so I actually had to fly. In fact, the only schools that were in-person interviews were the Arizona schools, Midwestern and AT Still. So AT Still, after the interview, there was some time. They didn't give me a phone call on December 1st, and then it was... Even the second month, they didn't give me a phone call. It was later after I spoke to the woman in charge that she said that they offered to put me in waitlist. And by then, I was already accepted to my school, so then I declined. I didn't want to be in waitlist. Okay, so now the other school is Herman Ostrow School of Dentistry of University of Southern California. So they offered me an interview. However, because I was already committed to another school, I withdrew, and so I decided not to go there. Now the other school, so we're moving on. So another school is Loma University School of Dentistry. This is a private dental school that is primarily for Christians. They say that they're very diverse and they're open-minded to other ethnic, groups or other culture, religions, but they're actually primarily focused on Christian or people with strong Christian faiths. And the only time they'll offer you a position is if they think they have a chance of converting you to their faith. So it's if you're not Christian and if you're Muslim and you're other faith, if you're practicing, that is, don't apply. You're going to literally waste your money, and the only way they'll offer you is if they think they have a chance of converting you. So don't apply. Now the other school I mentioned earlier, one of them, there's 2 Midwestern dental schools. There's Midwestern Illinois, Midwestern Arizona. So I applied to Midwestern University College of Dental Medicine in Illinois. And this one, sometimes some people, when they apply to Midwestern, they get interviews from both schools. I only got one of them, which was from Arizona, but this one, they rejected me, so I didn't hear anything from them. Now, the next school was in Canada, because I was looking into applying to Canada as well, because over there tuition is cheaper, as well as, I liked the degree because of the trade agreements they have, the ability to be practiced in, not only in Canada, but within the US as well as Europe. So that really intrigued me, but, I committed somewhere else. But University of British Columbia Faculty of Dentistry, which is in Toronto, which is somewhere else, I think. Not Toronto, sorry, but somewhere else. But they actually rejected me, so I did not get in. Now, I think the next school is, UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles School of Dentistry. They actually rejected me and declined my application. The next school is University of California School of Dental Medicine, UCSF. They actually declined my application. Now this was because of dumb luck, and during COVID, normally incoming class is 128 or something like that. So because of COVID, they cut the class size, by half. And because of that, they rejected students who applied straight from the get-go. So because of that, I was rejected immediately when I applied. and the people they expected selected were at least 60 students, and it was very select few. So yeah, like, be cautious, and like I said, you never know. They might give you interviews, but like I said, I was looking on SDN and the reports of people who post on the interviews of what stats they got, and a lot of these people had really average or low stats. So I was surprised how they got an interview. So most of us, when you get an interview, a lot of the time it's just luck or like a lottery. So it's just dumb luck, and I don't know how I got rejected. But yeah, that's what happens. University of Colorado School of Dental Medicine, so that they rejected me. University of Marquette, University School of Dentistry in Wisconsin, they rejected me as well. And yeah, University of Detroit School of Dentistry. This is in Detroit in Michigan. So they offered me an interview. It was in virtual. I did the interview. Then they offered me acceptance, but then I committed to another school, so I declined them. Now, University of Illinois at Chicago College of Dentistry, which is UIC, they declined my application. University of Michigan School of Dentistry, they are the top dental school in the whole U.S. and they offered me an interview, and it was virtual. And this school, I was really impressed with the curriculum, and I liked because of the Muslim community there, and it seemed to be a great fit for me, so I accepted their offer. There is where I'm attending. Yes, now University of Minnesota School of Dentistry, they offered me an interview as well. Later in the cycle, I interviewed there as well, and it was virtual as well. And they after the interview, they sent me a letter of acceptance. However, I declined the offer because I was committed to Michigan. After Minnesota, then there's the University of Pacific Arthur A. Dugoni School of Dentistry, which is another private dental school in California, otherwise known as UOP. So for this, you need a lot of connections to apply, and generally the connections will help you. I had people who knew, but like I said, this is another lottery system. If you know someone, they can help you get an interview. Even I knew people, and even then I didn't hear anything. So these ones are more selective, and like I said, the California schools are very selective. Then there's University of Washington School of Dentistry. This is the dental school I really want to get to because I really like the area of Washington. However, they declined me as, like Texas, they're mostly in-state school. So if you're a Washington resident, or if you're like a West Coast state that's nearby, you'll have a chance, but especially their primary focus on Washington state residents. So if you're not in Washington, I would be very hesitant and cautious of applying there. Now, the next one is the West Virginia University School of Dentistry. They offered me an interview. I withdrew as I was committed to Michigan. University of Connecticut School of Dental Medicine. I applied there, and they declined. University of Maryland School of Dentistry. They're the first dental school built in the U.S., and they have a very nice gym center. In fact, they have an award for being the top gym for like the past 7 years or something like that. They have a nice rec center, very nice. You can tell that there's a lot of investment in there. But they offered me an interview, then they accepted me, and then after that I declined because I liked Michigan more. Then Virginia Commonwealth University School of Dentistry, they declined my application. But yeah. Then Dalhousie University Faculty of Dentistry. This is in Dalhousie in Canada. They also offered me an interview. And Canada schools, I definitely recommend if you want to apply there. It's going to be very difficult, but like I said, cost of tuition is cheaper, and you get to practice in Europe as well as Hong Kong and Australia, as well as in the US and Canada. But you have to look into that whole business. But they offered me an interview, but I declined because I was going to Michigan. Oregon, yeah, I haven't heard back from them. It says still, under review, and so I haven't heard back. But yeah, they're also a school. I think they're more open-minded as opposed to Washington, so they'll more likely accept students who come from out states. Then there's University of Saskatchewan College of Dentistry, another school in Canada. They offered me an interview, but I declined because I was committed to Michigan. So those are pretty much all the schools, I was accepted or I declined, and what was going on with them. my advice is I definitely recommend all of you guys do not apply to Texas unless you're a Texas resident, because Texas is very they only want Texas resident students. Like I said, definitely there's some schools I'd recommend apply everywhere wherever you get a chance. Don't be specific. Definitely, if you want, apply to Florida. If you have low stats, apply to the Arizona schools and apply to Florida. I know Midwestern Arizona rejected me because my stats were literally too high. I aced their interview. I did I have all the questions written down. I asked them perfectly, but I think they probably saw that this guy, his stats were high. He was probably getting interviews from other places, so they rejected me. But I definitely advise you guys, apply to Midwestern, apply to AT Still, essentially all the Arizona schools, apply to the Florida schools. Those Florida schools they give interviews very easily. They look for students who have low stats. These schools are literally notorious for picking students with low stats or struggling. So definitely I recommend apply to Florida, apply to the Arizona schools, and among elsewhere. Definitely apply to the East Coast schools as well, like Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia. These are good places to apply. But definitely if you follow that, then you should be good. But definitely this is how the system works, and sometimes even if you have the perfect stats, some schools may not offer you, it's all lottery system, all about connections. If you know connections, sometimes that could be helpful because they could make a call and be like, hey, listen, I know someone, can you give them an interview? That's how it works. But yeah, I hope this helps clarify things. And I'll be doing more videos. My next video will be on letters of recommendation, how to get them, how to do about that. Then after that, inshallah, I'll do interview tips and advice, etc. Right? Thank you guys, and see you guys next time.